Oakville News. You can you can read us online every day for free at oakvillenews.org. Tonight, to kick off our 7-day festival, we have got some of our local short films and short filmmakers here joining us. We have more than a dozen artists of local talent in various roles for all of the wonderful movies you just got to see at home. We're so glad you're joining us for the premiere event tonight, but we also have lots of other great events happening over the course of the week. There are 87 shorts and 18 features going all throughout OFFA this week. You can still get tickets for all features, and screenings are available for 7 days. Tickets are available at OFFA.ca, as are all access passes, so you can see every title available this week. I'm joined here by OFFA Chair Wendy Donnan.
Hi, everyone.
We also have our technical friend Tori Nixon, who is working behind the scenes for our live Q&A period tonight. What that means is if you have a question for any one of the artists we're about to introduce, you can put them in the Eventive chat right here on this side of your screen, and they'll get submitted to us, and we can ask them directly to the talent that is here with you tonight. But before we do that, I'm going to introduce our long list of exceptional artists who have joined us here this evening. First, we have, as the director of the Layoff, Ji-Hae Kim.
Hello. Hi.
We've also have the director of Legacy Voices, Akil McKenzie.
It's your boy.
From Love, Lies, and Other L Words, the producer, Autumn Mosey.
Hi, everyone.
We have director and writer of Masks Up, Huzeifa Essaji.
How's it going?
Also a writer and director from On the Fence, Paula near Dormiendo.
Hi, everyone.
The writer and director of Words Behind Berries, Andressa Back.
Hi, everyone.
From Never Alone, all 3 co-directors are here, Emma Pascu, Jack Kukolic, and Megan Pask.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
From the film Snap, we have director Liam Goffin and screenwriter Stuart Parks.
Hello. Hi.
And lastly, from The Birthday Party, we have producer Bo Green and director Chris Heiko.
Hello, everyone.
Hey there.
To everybody who is here on the call tonight, thank you so much for making the time to be part of this. We are going to have questions coming in from the audience streaming in just a few minutes. But before we get to that, I'd like to just open this to some general questions. So if you would like to answer as we go into the general topics, if you wouldn't mind just raising your hand or putting a little Zoom hand in the corner, we'd love to hear from you. So tonight, of course, we're featuring on our local talent. This is one of the best days of the Oakville Film Festival because we get to feature all the artists and work that's happening, not just in Oakville, but all across Halton region. Now, tonight, our event has also been sponsored by the great folks at Sheridan College, and I believe we have several Sheridan College students and alumni here tonight. If you are from Sheridan College, either as a grad or student, could you raise your hand? Look at that. That's a lot of you. Well, I also, full disclosure, I'm a Sheridan graduate myself.
I teach there.
I said, I'm sorry, so faculty as well, perhaps an important part. For any of you who had training in any of the programs at Sheridan, I'd like to hear from some of you first. What is some of the training or skills that you learned that specifically helped with part of the shorts you made for the festival this year? Or is there a specific class or moment that came from your time in classes that helped inspire or create part of the shorts that you filmed this year?
I guess I can go first if nobody else wants
Paula.
to. Well, the nature of On the Fence was a bit unique in the sense that it actually, for anybody who hasn't watched the film, a little bit of a spoiler, but anybody who is a part of the film actually ended up in the film itself. And the majority of them are students, or all of them are students. So the nature of Fence's recruiting of subjects actually stemmed from my interactions with other students in the program. Yeah, so I guess that, it pretty much shaped, the entire film that way.
Well, one of the great joys also of getting to work here in Halton region is there's a lot of unique locations. And as I was watching all of your films, there are tons of recognizable spots, both around Oakville, but Burlington, Mississauga. Did any of you have any memorable stories from working at specific sites or locations in the region? Yeah, Emma.
So one of the locations we shot at was at the Harveys in Oakville. It's kind of near Dorval. And it was really funny because we were allowed to shoot there, but we had to wait for customers every time they came. So we spent a lot of time like that we were supposed to be shooting. We spent a lot of time just waiting for customers to kind of just like finish up. And it was a lot of fun actually, but it was very time consuming. So that's very memorable to me.
I'll add to Emma, that scene was supposed to take place during the day actually. And when we had gotten there, we had realized it's a lunch rush and there was no stopping for customers. So we ended up having to do it later in the day. And this is all happening right a day before the lockdowns, before Christmas. So we were definitely under a crunch to get that part of the film done and finished before everything was locked down again.
Yeah, exactly.
Did any of you work at Harvey's, or did you have to get permission from the restaurant to go and shoot in there?
So I happen to know the owners, so they kind of knew me anyway. And I called them like in advance and told them like, hey, can we come shoot here? And they're like, yeah, no problem. And I got there and they had forgotten. They had no idea that we were going to shoot there. But we were still like, everything worked out in the end, but yeah.
Now, opposite question, is there anyone who went to an extreme location or in a really obscure or unique place that posed any challenges for you making your films? Yeah, Autumn.
So the film that I worked on was Love, Lies, and Other L Words. And it's about a girl who comes to terms with her sexuality and she's scared to tell her super religious mom. And we ended up shooting in the Knox Church in Oakville. So that was something that we definitely had to talk about because with the church and LGBTQ, it's a big issue. So we definitely had to sit down with a lot of the church members and make sure that they were okay with everything. They did give us a couple rules. They wouldn't allow any gay kissing to happen in the church itself, which is understandable. So there was always someone there. There was always someone watching us filming. We had a great crew and we had unbelievable help from the staff. And we actually did a donation to the church afterwards. So it was just a really fun time. And it was a challenge for us because we didn't want to push any boundaries and we didn't want to upset anybody by it. So it was definitely something that we had to plan for in advance.
When you first brought the idea to the church, how receptive were they to the idea of shooting there?
Honestly, they were pretty good with us. They have had Sheridan students film at their location before, but none with subject matter of gay characters. So they were really receptive and they let us have the spot for 2 days straight. They were there throughout the whole shooting in case we needed any help. We got to use a bunch of different parts of the church. So we pretty much had the whole place to ourselves. And like I said, we told them that we were going to donate to the church. And that was a huge thing for us, that we wanted to give back to the community who helped us make this film.
That's wonderful. We have our first question from the audience that's coming in. Now, to shoot here specifically in the town of Oakville, regardless of the size or length of the project, you are required to get a filming permit. Does anyone want to talk about the experience of having to go through and get permits to shoot on location throughout the town?
I can kind of talk about that a little bit. So as a producer, it's the producer's job to get all the paperwork and get all the like anything you need for filming. So we did have one scene where we were in a public park and we did have to get a film permit for that specific area. So to go through the town, it's a lot of emails back and forth. They want to make sure that you're not hurting the area or doing anything that you shouldn't be doing. And also parking was a big thing for us. They wanted to make sure that we were paying for the parking because it was a park that we went to, and we did have a lot of equipment with us, which meant a lot of vehicles. So they just wanted to make sure that everything was protected on our end and the city's end. But yeah, it was a lot of emails back and forth. But the city is usually really good, especially with Sheridan students, because this is something that they deal with a lot of the time.
Now, I know there's a lot of active or recent graduated students here. Is there anyone here, this is your first short film that's being screened as part of the festival tonight? Yeah, wow, that's awesome. Okay, for everyone, this is your first short film, could you just in 15, 20 seconds talk about what the experience is like getting to see your final product finally be shared with a public audience? What does that feel like as a creator? Yeah, we'll just go rotationally. So we'll start with Emma.
It feels awesome just to tell your friends and family about it who have been supporting you from the beginning, and to kind of be like, okay, I'm working on this project, and then to finally have like a finished product to show them. Because sometimes we like to post like behind the scenes pictures on our stories, and then that gets people really excited. So then they finally get to see like what we've been working on.
Megan?
Kind of to go with what Emma said, it was great to see all the people that supported us in like our journey of making our film. And then it was really interesting to see the background stuff, to be in the background stuff, and then have it edited and put together and watching it and be like, wow, like I made this, like we did this together. So I think it was just a great process. I had a great team working with me. So very thankful for that.
Next is Liam.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it was an incredible experience working on this film with everyone. And the fact that part of it was also filmed at my house. My parents were a big part of that whole production too, because the whole motel scene was in their bedroom. So it was such a good experience to have for my parents to see this done when and out there, I think.
What was the family meeting like, trying to convince them to let them shoot in the house?
They were they were a bit concerned because we definitely had a bigger crew, and we had all the actors in and a lot of equipment because it was a Sheridan production, so we had access to like the Canon C300 and lenses and things like that. So it took some convincing, but I think it was a good area to film it.
Stuart, what was it like going into somebody else? Because you were the co-writer on the project that Liam was the director for, of Snap.
Yeah.
What was it like going into somebody else's house and seeing his parents there?
Well, it was an interesting experience to say the least. They were very nice. I will say that, Liam. Very nice. They're very accommodating too. Overall, it sort of just worked out with this project in total. It was very much a learning experience, I feel like, for everyone. I was also continuity for the short as well, so I was also on set there as well as screenwriter. But it was a learning experience that we just kind of it was a lot of geez, I'm stumbling over my words right now, sorry, but
That's okay. I do it about every 15 seconds.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. But it all just came together in the end. I mean, I was so nervous. The whole script actually basically started a year before we actually shot, because me and Liam were both in like the same writing class, and he came up with the idea back then, but it was basically an entirely different beast. And then just seeing that going from there and then to, final product, Snap, and then actually having to go to Liam's house to film it and that was actually his parents' bedroom, if I remember correctly.
The family meeting just gets more and more interesting.
Yeah, they got us Popeyes, so that was good.
Best crew services. Is there any other first-time filmmakers I missed from the hands that we put up? Nope. We have our next question. This is for Akil on Legacy Voices. They loved your film. Could you tell us about the research process that went behind making it?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, thanks for loving the film. Appreciate it. Love you too. The research process was a lot larger than what actually made it into the film, because we only see like around 5 participants in the actual film that are speaking, and then there's other voices that come in that you don't physically see. But we had to go throughout kind of like the entirety of Halton and talk to at least like 30 Black families, just finding out like, where are your origins in this in the vicinity of Halton? Like, where did it start? When did your family first come here? And the amount that was actually learned, like I kind of feel like everyone in the crew has this like crazy rooted knowledge now of Oakville and Burlington and the entire Halton area, especially with the things we learned about the fact that there was an underground railroad that came out to Oakville, and we're like, what? Like, people escaped to Oakville? Like, no one knew like a lot of the information that we found. So it was an enriching experience for the crew, but then also for the cast, because like during lunch we would talk about all those things. So it was great for everyone, and it took 2 months worth of just talking.
Now, because we're on a local showcase tonight, a little fun tidbit for those of you local to the Oakville area. If you're interested in learning more about the Underground Railroad's history in town, I believe the Oakville Museum offers a fabulous walking tour that gets done twice a week. Akil, have you heard of the program?
I've heard of the program, and that's actually part of the reason the film was made, because the film is supposed to go into the museum as something that's put into like this time capsule. So that way it's just always there. So when you go in, you can see a piece of the history. That's why the documentary was actually created.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations. Next up, we have a quick poll that we'd like to do of everybody. So we've talked about first film or not. We'd like to know whether this is your first time ever appearing at OFFA and the Oakville Festival. Is there anyone here at OFFA for the first time? Oh, almost everybody. Wow. So there you have it, folks. We have a lot of first-time filmmakers, and part of the great joy of Oakville is having the discovery of new talent and the work they're making. Next, for the team of On the Fence, an amazing film. How did you find the subjects to interview to create the piece?
Well, like I mentioned before, all the subjects who were part of the film were actually some of my friends in Sheridan, or I had met and started talking to prior to pitching the film. For the inspiration part, I think for anybody who's familiar with Sheridan process of like pitching in your 3rd year, you have a mandatory pitch to do a documentary in your 3rd year. And so going into that, I knew I wanted to pursue that idea from the beginning. But I think the actual semblance of On the Fence itself was born between a conversation my parents and I were having. And as somebody who was raised in Canada for the majority of my life, but I was born in the Philippines, I remember having this conversation with them about comparing, some of my relatives who were born in the Philippines and who were raised in the Philippines. And the differences are pretty stark between us. And I remember having to step away for a little bit because I was really hurt by it. I realized that I was much farther away from my Filipino culture than I thought. And because I had envisioned Philippines as my home for a really long time, it came to that point that I had to redefine what I considered home in the first place. So going into my 3rd year, I knew that I wanted to pursue that idea, and I reached out to a bunch of people and did preliminary interviews with some of my friends and some people that I didn't really know who I thought might relate to the subject, and it kind of snowballed from there.
One of my favorite parts about watching On the Fence was seeing the initial interviews of you all telling your stories in the shadows and having the film behind you, creating this literal distance as you're talking about the separation and distance too. And just visually seeing it, it was really beautiful. So I think you guys did a terrific job at making it.
Thank you so much.
One of the things that I always find difficult, especially in shorts, is comedy in short film, because it's hard to get people to laugh normally, but when you're on a time crunch, it's even harder. So I'd like to talk to some of the comedic filmmakers. I know, so we have Jihei here, Huzeifa. You guys especially came up with pretty funny concepts. Where did your ideas come from? And how do you make something funny in a short amount of time?
I can go first if
Yeah.
or she can. So I've always really liked comedy as like a tool for starting conversations or just addressing topical issues. So obviously with the pandemic going on, it was pretty easy inspiration, and I saw a lot of people were making great dramatic shorts, and I wanted to try and do something different. So I tried to bring a little lightheartedness to the topic while also addressing an actual issue.
I think the payoff was very funny, especially when you see the title and then all of a sudden when the mask doesn't go on, when the cat's out of the bag, it's quite a good payoff. Jihei, well, how did you come up with your concept for the layoff?
Actually, I thought if there was an employee who was bragging about fire his staff, I wonder why was he bragging and why did he fire them and what would happen to them? Those questions were starting point of the film The Layoff, because I already knew some major supermarket want to fire their staff because they have to pay more and more to them every year. And probably they think it's cheaper to hire new staff than keep their employees. So that was, kind of big issue to me. So I just want to make a short film and not like the really serious, attitude, just like the black comedy. That was, how I started the law.
Thank you. I want to talk next to Bo and Chris from the birthday party. You guys, we have a pair of a film as producer and director with us. Can you tell us about what the relationship of each of your jobs is like as you're on set and filming?
Do you want to start, Bo, or should I?
I'll let you go ahead.
Okay. Well, when it comes to directing, I mean, Bo's kind of the do-it-all behind the scenes, making sure everything sticks together and keeps it from falling apart. And with him, tending to all of the necessary things, that allows me to work more at the talent and really focus on getting into the roles of their characters and really feeling out the scene, while, like I said, the producer's job really keeps it all together.
And Bo?
Yeah, I mean, just to go off of Chris's thing, I think you kind of summed it up well. This was a weird film to make because this was right when the COVID pandemic kind of hit the area. So I remember the first day it was normal, and then the day after, that's when all these rules came in. So it was just trying to plan a lot ahead and just keep everything safe. And
What was having to make those changes on the fly?
Well, I was really happy because we had a really understanding crew and everyone knew how to be safe. We were all trained really well at Sheridan on how these things should go. And, everyone was really easygoing. They understood what we had to do. So I was really thankful for that. But still, it was just trying to keep everyone safe. And on top of that, like Chris was saying, all the behind the scenes, just making sure everything was running to schedule. And I think it turned out okay.
Now, I want to quickly talk about documentary next, but let's talk to Andressa Beck. I've always thought one of the things that makes great documentary is a great central subject. And the story of learning how to bring jams and jellies creates such a unique skill set. How did you translate this skill and this talent into a subject for a film?
Well, at first I was interested on Carol's creative process behind her recipes, because all of her recipes are based on family stories. So they are surrounded by affection and they have stories. And I was interested in that. And that's how I started my investigation of her process. So like I watched her cooking a lot, and I started shooting her as a research, and we became close friends. And then I realized I wanted, since people cannot eat while watching the film, they should feel something. So I wanted to develop a visual and audio language that kind of translated that.
We are almost out of time for this evening. But before we go, I would like to ask a question to everybody, and we'll just go by the blocks I see on my screen. So take a minute to think. If you could describe in one sentence, what is the most important thing you learned on the process of shooting your short film? When we have these audience events, a lot of our audience is aspiring filmmakers, new filmmakers, and people, especially with our local talent. We have a lot of new up-and-coming talent here as well. So if you could share or impart, what is the most single important thing you learned over the process of making your films? What would you say? Let's start in the top corner with Jihei.
Okay, so I think the most important thing I learned about my film was, if you think it's too easy to catch it, but audience may not.
Paula.
Find a home where you think there isn't. Search for community where you don't feel like there is, and lose something every day and then gain something back along the way.
Huzeifa.
How to make a tripod out of granola bars.
Emma.
Mine's not as exciting, but I would say patience is key. Like every project takes time, from the developing the idea to writing it to shooting it to editing. Like just be patient.
Autumn.
Communication and trust. You need to trust your crew. They all have their specific roles and you have to trust them to do their job.
Chris?
I would say define your target and go unwaveringly towards it. It won't go according to plan, but that's okay.
Andressa.
I would say that you have to understand that a film is developed throughout the process. I shot during the pandemic, during lockdown, so everything changed during my production time. And then you have to attach to what matters the most to you. And I think it should be the story. And then feel free to change, to embrace change, because it's part of the process.
Liam.
I would say prepare for the unexpected, because it's going to happen, and you've just got to be ready and have fun with it, because no matter what, you're always going to run into problems.
Stuart?
I'd say don't use your interdimensional powers to cheat on your best friend with his girlfriend. But in seriousness, I think as a writer, the most important thing is being able to take constructive criticism about your idea. It's super important.
Jack?
I think with our film, the most important part for us was really getting to tell a story as a team and make people feel something. For me, I'm starting Sheridan next year, in coming September, in a Bachelor Film and TV. So I'm really excited about that. And I think this is one of the projects that I was really happy to work on and create leading up to that.
We wish you well as you are starting your studies this September. Congratulations, Jack.
Thank you.
Megan.
I think that it's really important to cherish your teammates and to work together as a group. And things aren't always going to work out, but there's your whole team to help you. So be open to working with them and to cherish them, and just to, because you're going to make the great things if you're going to be a team. So,
Bo?
Yeah, I think it's been said a few times in different ways, but just make sure that you have a good team right off the bat, and things will hopefully go smoothly.
And last but certainly not least, Akil.
Do not write documentaries. Let the documentary write itself.
Well,
Bad time to think of mine.
well said, everybody. Well said, all of you. Thank you so much, all of you here joining us tonight. Thank you for creating your shorts. Thank you for sharing them with us, and thank you for making them locally. It's such a gift to see local talent, local settings, local ideas, because they matter and connect to us not just locally, but to around Canada and around the world as well. Thank you, all of you, for joining us also here tonight for this very special opening event for the 8th Annual Oakville Film Festival. You guys are first. You set the bar. It's the way to do it. We love starting with the short team. My thanks as well to Tori Nixon in the production nook, working behind the scenes, and of course to Wendy Donnan, who is also here with us tonight. Last and certainly not least, to you. Thank you at home for watching and joining us for the local shorts film program. Don't forget, there is an Audience Choice Award for all the titles at OFFA this year, and there is a new voting system. Down below at the bottom of this screen, when you choose any title, on the right-hand side, you'll see a 1 to 5-star system where you can rate your favorite films, and all those votes get collected to award prizes for shorts and features and what are this year's audience favorites. It is so important you go and vote, and if you love a movie, go out and support it. And if you don't love a movie, don't vote. Whatever it is you do, though, there is so many great choices for you to pick, and this is only the start. We have 2 more short film packages coming Monday and Tuesday next week to close the festival, and there are shorts attached to all the features being screened at the program this year. Our thanks also to Sheridan College for sponsoring tonight's event. I am Tyler Collins. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Our next program tonight is Marlene. That's starting in just about 20 minutes, and tickets are still available. We'll have a live Q&A with the director, creators, and star of the film later tonight. For everyone here at OFFA, thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe and have a good night.
Bye, everyone.